Imagine waking up tomorrow, but it's 2026. You slide on some sleek piece of tech, maybe a minimalist ring, perhaps a, specialized watch that's already processed hundreds, maybe thousands of data points from while you were sleeping.
Yeah, it's analyzed your deep sleep cycles, tracked your heart rate variability, and really, before you've even had a sip of coffee, it's generated a perfectly customized breakfast strategy.
Right, based on your unique genetic profile, maybe. And the metabolic data from that tough run you did 2 days ago. It sounds like science fiction, almost.
But it really isn't just a futuristic fantasy anymore, is it? That kind of hyper-personalized reality where technology is basically your silent 204/7 wellness partner.
Wow.
Well, it's not just coming, it's practically here. It's the immediate future of proactive health.
Exactly. And if you, like us, are driven by curiosity and maybe need a clear-cut explanation of how artificial intelligence and wearables can actually keep you healthy without completely overwhelming you with just tons of information overload.
Then you're absolutely in the right place.
Yeah, you are in the perfect spot. We are diving deep today into a whole stack of specialized sources, really detailing exactly how this AI wearable synergy is set to revolutionize wellness by 2026. Think of this as your essential shortcut to understanding this, well, really explosive trend.
And our mission today is analytical, but also practical.
Yeah.
We're going to try and answer those burning questions about this whole transition, like how does this sophisticated tech actually work under the hood?
Mm-hmm.
What are the massive implications for your personal privacy? That's a big one. And critically, maybe the biggest question, will this personalized AI coach fundamentally replace your relationship with your human doctor?
Good questions. Before we jump into all that material, if you appreciate having complex topics like this broken down into essential usable knowledge, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Join our community.
Yeah, you really don't want to miss a single deep dive where we extract the essential knowledge you need to stay well informed in this, rapidly changing world.
Okay, let's get started then. Okay, so let's unpack this synergy we mentioned. We hear AI and wearables thrown around constantly, but what really happens when you combine them? And how does that specific combination move us from, just basic fitness tracking into this whole new realm of hyper-personalized health?
Well, the synergy is really the absolute key to moving past the generic advice we're all used to. Think of AI not just as like software, but as a kind of computational superbrain.
Hmm.
It's powered by machine learning, and it can ingest these immense volumes of bodily data, far, far more than any single human could possibly process.
Right.
And its job is to spot extremely subtle patterns, predict outcomes, things that even the most experienced human practitioners might miss until the problem is already pretty well underway.
And the data source itself, the wearable device, that's evolved dramatically too, hasn't it? It's not just pedometers anymore.
Oh, absolutely not. The wearable is the sophisticated, constant collector of this data. We're talking about way more than just steps. These are gadgets worn continuously, smartwatches like the Apple Watch Ultra, the Oura Ring, high-end fitness bands, and increasingly even smart clothing with sensors woven right in.
Smart clothing, wow.
Yeah, and they're continuously tracking biometrics. This ranges from simple movement and location all the way to internal stress indicators like heart rate variability.
So the real outcome here is moving beyond that kind of dated, generalized public health advice, like the standard everyone needs 2,000 calories or get 150 minutes of moderate activity a week, that sort of thing.
Precisely. We transition to a truly tailored, dynamic plan. So if the AI identifies you, for example, as a busy parent who maybe thrives on outdoor activity but actively avoids the confines of a traditional gym, the AI doesn't just suggest a workout. It adapts your entire schedule. It might suggest efficient, short trail walks fitted into your day, and maybe build in mandatory recovery tips, all aligned perfectly with your complex schedule and, crucially, your specific physiological response to stress.
That makes a lot more sense. It's truly personal then. Now let's focus on the timing. Why are our sources so heavily focused on the year 2026? What makes this year the specific tipping point for such a massive industry shift?
Well, it seems to be a convergence of scale and demand. First, the sheer market growth is just staggering. Experts predict we'll see over 1 billion wearables in use worldwide by 2026.
1 billion. Wow.
Yeah, it's an enormous installed user base, all generating continuous health data. That's up significantly from around 800 million estimated for 2025. And that scale, that sheer volume of data is what fuels the AI's learning models, making them more accurate.
And that scale is clearly meeting a massive demand if you look at online behavior, right?
It really is. The need for personalized digital health is just so evident. Searches for terms like AI health coach have spiked I mean, an astonishing 300% in just the past year alone.
300%.
Yeah. This reflects, I think, partly a post-pandemic shift where general health awareness is much higher, but it's also coupled with a real need for efficiency.
Yeah.
We're all busier than ever, it feels like, and we need digestible, efficient health advice. And frankly, only cutting-edge machine learning, the ability to instantly process these massive data sets, can really provide that effectively.
We've seen the early versions of this adaptive idea already, haven't we? What exactly is rolling out by 2026 that makes it, the standard, not just a feature?
So back in 2025, we saw the early rollout of this AI-driven adaptive coaching. You saw it from systems like Whoop and Garmin. If your wearable detects, say, a low recovery score or signs of high physiological stress, the workout plan for that day gets adjusted in real time,
Automatic.
automatically. By 2026, this won't be some premium feature. It's expected to be pretty standard across most popular devices. But the integration goes even deeper than that. We project apps like, say, MyFitnessPal using sophisticated AI image processing
Uh-huh.
to scan your refrigerator contents via your phone camera. So it doesn't just log what you ate. It actually suggests meals proactively based on what nutrients you currently have available in the fridge, kind of streamlining healthy decisions.
That kind of seamless integration makes the data collection feel much less like a chore. Can we maybe detail the actual mechanisms, the sensor technology that acts as the eyes and ears for this AI?
Certainly. It relies on a whole suite of specialized sensors. You have the simple but still very effective tools like accelerometers and gyroscopes for precise movement tracking. Then there are the crucial optical heart rate monitors, which use light pulses to read your pulse and blood flow just beneath the skin.
Right, the little green lights.
Exactly. And then you have the more advanced sensors like the ECG or electrocardiogram capability, which can accurately monitor heart rhythm for clinically relevant issues, things like atrial fibrillation.
Okay, so once that continuous stream of raw data hits the device, how does the AI actually process it? It must be an incredible amount of noise to filter through all day long.
Well, the algorithms are designed specifically to analyze that output continuously and intelligently. For instance, they don't just register movement. They can distinguish the subtle differences between, say, high-impact walking, a low-impact dance session, or even a strenuous weightlifting routine based on the patterns.
Hmm.
They also track highly complex metrics, like your REM cycles and deep sleep stages, which then inform those personalized sleep suggestions. And maybe most crucially, by monitoring biometrics like blood oxygen saturation, skin temperature trends over time. The AI establishes your personal baseline. This allows it to flag even minor deviations from your normal. They could signal something like an infection starting or maybe an impending irregular heartbeat, potentially far earlier than you might notice any physical symptom yourself.
That distinction you just made, flagging an issue before physical symptom appears, that feels like the core power we're really talking about here, doesn't it? It's not just tracking history, it's predicting the future in a way. Let's walk through that step-by-step prediction process. How does it actually work?
Okay, so it all starts with robust, continuous data collection. Your wearable is constantly gathering heart rate, step count, sleep quality metrics. But it even factors in non-physiological data sometimes, like location data.
Location data, how does that relate to health?
Well, for example, this location data can be correlated with public environmental records to estimate factors like your exposure to local air pollution on a given day or week.
Ah, okay, so adding context, got it. So the input is vast. Then the machine learning analysis takes over. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. How does the neural network handle that fire hose of personalized data for just one person?
Right, so the AI deploys these powerful models, often deep neural networks. And critically, it doesn't just look at the average person. It compares your current data stream, your specific HRV this morning, your unique sleep latency last night, against literally millions of anonymized diverse health profiles stored in its database.
Millions.
Millions. Its job is to weight hundreds of variables simultaneously to identify patterns that are unique to your specific physiology within that giant database. It's looking for subtle anomalies that are unusual for you, like maybe a slow, consistent elevation in your resting heart rate over 5 days. That's a strong signal for generalized stress or maybe even potential sickness brewing.
That comparison then leads directly to the risk assessment calculation, right? Where the probabilities are actually calculated.
Exactly. And this is where multiple data streams can converge powerfully. Imagine, for instance, you've linked your genetic information, maybe from a service like 23andMe,
Mm.
and it indicates you have a hereditary predisposition to type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
If your wearable simultaneously detects frequent and severe blood sugar spikes after you consume certain foods, The AI integrates all that information. It might then calculate a precise probability, predicting, say, a 40% increased risk of developing pre-diabetic symptoms within the next year if your current dietary behavior stays the same.
Wow, that specificity is really transformative. It takes a vague genetic risk and turns it into an immediate, actionable metric. And the final step then is ensuring that complex calculation is delivered as what? A simple, actionable, personalized alert.
Correct. The whole goal is proactive intervention that's easy to digest and act upon. So instead of just showing you a scary 40% risk statistic on a graph somewhere, you receive an immediate, ideally non-judgmental suggestion, something like, based on your elevated morning cortisol levels and low energy metacrins today, skipping breakfast raises your fatigue risk this morning. Try this specific high-protein, low-glycemic oatmeal recipe to help stabilize your energy until lunch. Actionable.
Actionable and specific. Let's dedicate some serious time to nutrition prediction because that impacts absolutely everyone. Can you detail that case study you mentioned earlier about identifying deficiencies? The one about Sarah?
Sure. Take the example of Sarah, who's, let's say, a 35-year-old vegetarian office worker. She's tracking her movement with her watch and maybe logging her meals occasionally via her AI-linked fitness tracker app. Over several weeks, the AI starts correlating her self-reported fatigue scores and low energy levels with her dietary logs. And it notices a recurring trend. Her iron intake is consistently below the optimal levels recommended for her age and activity level. So the AI, acting as a predictor, detects these early physiological indicators and flags an impending anemia risk.
Before she feels really bad.
Exactly. Instead of waiting for her to feel severely fatigued and finally go visit a doctor, the system proactively suggests tailored vegetarian iron-rich alternatives. And not just, eat more spinach, but maybe specific recipes like a spinach and spirulina smoothie that it knows fits her taste preferences in typical preparation time. It's early, effective intervention.
And the technology that seems to be really accelerating this is the continuous glucose monitor, CGM. That's not just for diabetics anymore.
That is a critical trend predicted for 2026. While CGMs, like the Dexcom G7 or similar devices, were initially designed for people managing diabetes, their combination with AI has massive implications for general non-diabetic wellness too.
How so?
Because the AI learns your body's unique metabolic response to every meal you eat. It doesn't just track your current blood sugar, it actually predicts the velocity and timing of future drops based on past patterns. This helps even non-diabetics avoid those severe energy fluctuations, the cognitive fog, the infamous hangry moments.
Right, I know those.
We all do. The AI anticipates maybe a dip coming around 3 p.m. based on your lunch intake and your afternoon activity level, and it advises proactively, hey, a blood sugar crash looks imminent. Maybe snack on 10 almonds now to maintain peak performance through your next meeting.
That preemptive ability is incredibly appealing. And we're also seeing this idea of future nutrient estimation becoming almost commonplace by then, right? Using cameras and things.
Absolutely. By 2026, the expectation is that AI will utilize advanced image recognition combined with other data streams.
Yeah.
So if you quickly scan your meal with your phone, the AI estimates the nutrient density. But even more subtly, if your wearable's GPS data confirms, say you've spent the past 2 weeks mostly indoors, or maybe you live in northern latitudes during winter, the AI correlates that lack of sun exposure with your logged diet and activity level, and it might predict a high risk of vitamin D deficiency, prompting you perhaps to get tested, consider supplementation, or just suggesting you take a specific outdoor break during peak sunlight hours.
Okay, now let's pivot that predictive power over to fitness. How does AI move beyond just basic step counting to actually providing serious optimization and, maybe more importantly, injury prevention?
Yeah, this is a major area for performance gains and just general well-being. Take injury prevention. If a serious runner is using a smartwatch with advanced gait analysis capabilities, the AI can detect minute, almost imperceptible changes in their foot strike pattern, their ground contact time, maybe an uneven stride length developing between left and right. These are indicators you often wouldn't feel yourself until the injury actually happens. So the AI might analyze this and predict, say, a 25% increased risk of developing patellar tendon strain within the next week if the pattern continues. And the output isn't just a vague warning. It suggests a specific remedial action, like your right stride appears to be shortening under fatigue. Reduce your running speed by 15% today. or perhaps switch to low-impact cycling to actively manage the strain risk.
So the system provides the potential solution right alongside the diagnosis or the prediction. That's really the definition of a hypercoach, isn't it?
That's exactly right. And for optimization, particularly for serious athletes, systems within the Garmin or Whoop ecosystem, for example, they continuously integrate your recovery scores, your sleep depth analysis, heart rate dynamics,
Yeah.
all to predict your physiological peak performance windows.
So it tells you when to push hard.
Exactly. The motivation becomes data-driven. You might get an alert saying, your recovery score is 90% and physiological readiness metrics are high. Tomorrow morning looks like the optimal time to attempt that personal record run you've been targeting.
And the overall impact metrics we're seeing, they underline the economic and health value here, right? It's not just convenience.
They absolutely do.
Hmm.
Studies available to us from 2025 indicated that the widespread adoption of these AI-powered wearables could potentially reduce overall non-emergency hospital visits by as much as 20%.
20%, that's huge. Significant. And it's largely due to this essential early detection capability and the proactive intervention suggestions. We also have that widely cited anecdote, of John the marathon runner, whose Whoop band utilized predictive analytics to flag these recurring physiological markers indicative of overtraining syndrome and severe burnout. It allowed him to pull back his training intensity before suffering a debilitating health crisis.
Right.
The accuracy for these common, often behavior-linked risks is already quite high, hovering somewhere between 85–95% in many cases, and it just improves constantly as the models get more data and learn over time.
Okay, so with this technology now collecting real-time physiological data, basically 24/7, we absolutely must talk about the massive issue of privacy. We are, in essence, handing over a hyper-detailed treasure chest of our most personal health data. How do we, the users, ensure this highly sensitive information is safe? And maybe more importantly, that we retain control over it. This concern is completely paramount. Frankly, the credibility of the entire industry hinges on getting this right. Reputable AI health providers, particularly those integrated into major ecosystems like Apple's HealthKit or Google Fit, they must use robust end-to-end encryption as a baseline.
Okay, encryption first.
Yes, and maybe more importantly, they absolutely have to comply with stringent regulatory frameworks like HIPAA in the US or GDPR over in Europe. That regulatory compliance, that's really the minimum standard for establishing trust.
But compliance aside, the underlying concern for many people is who ultimately gets access to that data stream, even if it's anonymized or de-anonymized. Could it potentially be shared with, I don't know, an insurance company or maybe even an employer down the line?
That is precisely the critical legal and ethical battleground that's really playing out as we approach 2026. The best practice, and this is something you absolutely must look for when choosing a service, is companies that commit to only sharing aggregated, truly anonymized data for research purposes. And even then, only with your explicit granular consent, not buried in fine print.
Explicit consent.
Explicit consent. And crucially, you need to know that the data fundamentally belongs to you. You should insist on platforms that offer full data exportability, so you can take your data with you, or if you decide to stop using the service, complete and verifiable deletion of your records.
Right.
The sources also note that by 2026, the integration of blockchain technology is being seriously explored by some companies to create a kind of tamper-proof transparent ledger. That could act as an extra layer of verifiable security for this personalized health data treasure chest.
That data ownership point feels non-negotiable for anyone considering jumping into this ecosystem. Now let's tackle the accuracy concern head-on. If an AI is predicting, say, a 25% knee strain risk or maybe a 40% increase in a specific disease risk, how much confidence should we actually put into that percentage? How do we trust the tech, especially without immediate human input?
Well, as we touched on, the AI accuracy for common pattern-based risks is generally quite high already, often in that 85–95% range we mentioned. We're seeing diagnostic accuracy for well-documented conditions hitting around 92% in some studies. However, and this is a big here there, it's a critical engagement from the user and the system comes in. That accuracy can drop notably, sometimes down to around 70% or even lower, when dealing with very rare diseases or highly unique physiological symptoms that don't fit common patterns.
Okay, so if the accuracy drops that much for rarer things, isn't there a significant risk that people might over-rely on the AI's high score for common stuff, and in doing so maybe miss the subtle signals for something rarer or more complex that really needs a human expert's eye?
That is precisely the ethical hazard that needs to be managed very carefully. You're right. The AI models are fundamentally only as good as the data they are trained on. and rare conditions, just by definition, have much less training data available.
Makes sense.
This is why validation becomes paramount. Users really should demand transparency about the algorithm's validation sources.
Mhm.
You should look for systems that utilize, for example, FDA-approved detection mechanisms, similar to the regulatory approval that validates the accuracy of, say, Apple's AFib detection feature on the watch.
So look for that external validation.
Exactly. And the critical fail-safe for all reputable AI health coaches must be this ironclad rule. The system should always advise consulting a human doctor for any serious, unusual, persistent, or urgent health issue. No exceptions.
So that hybrid model, using AI for early detection and pattern spotting, but relying on a human for definitive diagnosis and complex care, that seems absolutely essential for building and maintaining trust.
It really is. The model developing for 2026 heavily features these hybrid systems. So if your wearable flags a potentially serious cardiac anomaly, it doesn't just send you an alert on your phone. The system might be designed to automatically route that encrypted data stream directly to a human expert, maybe via an integrated telehealth provider, for an immediate cross-check and follow conversation.
Okay, moving from the technical aspects to the more practical day-to-day side. How do we integrate a 204/7 hyper coach like this into our already chaotic daily routines without feeling, constantly monitored, judged, or maybe even nagged by our devices?
Yeah, that's a great question. Customization and ensuring the dialogue feels non-judgmental are absolutely the keys to long-term adherence and success. First, the AI has to integrate seamlessly with your existing life, not add another layer of complexity.
Right.
So if you set a personal goal to, say, reduce stress, the AI shouldn't just bombard you with generic yoga videos. A good system accesses your integrated calendar data. It notices maybe you have 3 back-to-back meetings followed by a late child pickup time, and it suggests bite-sized, achievable changes, like scheduling a specific 10-minute mindful breathing exercise precisely between meeting 3 and the start of your commute. Contextual.
What about when we inevitably slip up, though? If I ignore the suggested healthy meal and, opt for pizza instead, how should the AI respond to maintain motivation and not just make me feel guilty?
It absolutely cannot be a drill sergeant. That just doesn't work long term. The AI coaching must focus entirely on progress and incremental improvement, not perfection. If you cheat on a diet plan or skip a planned workout, the coaching needs to be supportive and proactive. Definitely not punitive.
Okay.
It might provide a suggestion like, okay, that meal decision might have impacted your recovery score slightly. No big deal. Let's look at alternatives for tomorrow. How about swapping that usual high-fat snack for a veggie stir-fry next time? That might help minimize the effect on your energy levels. It redirects behavior gently, without inducing guilt, recognizing that real-life adherence always needs flexibility.
That makes it feel much more like a genuine partner in health rather than just a passive logging tool or a critic. What's a practical tip listeners could use right now, maybe, to start building that kind of helpful dialogue with their current health tech?
That's a good point. Try using open-ended questions when you interact with the AI, if the interface allows it. Don't just rely on the passive report generation it spits out. Ask it a conversational question like, okay, AI, based on my aggregated data from last week, my poor sleep quality scores and those high stress peaks you flagged, what's one specific actionable change I should prioritize today for better cognitive function tomorrow?
Asking for just one thing.
Exactly. This kind of dialogue forces the AI to synthesize multiple data points, provide you with one single digestible piece of advice, rather than overwhelming you with a wall of numbers and graphs. It makes it more actionable.
So we inevitably come to the definitive question, the one that's often posed, or I think a mix of fear and excitement. Will artificial intelligence actually replace human doctors by 2026?
Well, the answer, based on every single source we synthesize for this deep dive, is a very firm and pretty absolute no. Unequivocally no. AI will fundamentally reorganize and certainly augment the healthcare industry in profound ways, but it simply will not replace the human physician. The inherent limitations of the technology itself basically ensure that.
Okay, let's elaborate on those key gaps then. Beyond the obvious data processing advantages of AI, what keeps the human doctor truly indispensable in this equation?
Well, first and foremost, I think, is the complete lack of genuine empathy and holistic understanding in AI. An algorithm is simply incapable of compassionately delivering difficult news, understanding the complex cultural nuances that often surround health decisions, or appreciating the crucial social determinants of health, things like job loss, family strain, financial stress, that significantly impact a patient's overall well-being and, frankly, their ability to comply with any treatment plan.
That human touch is irreplaceable. And what about the persistent issue we hear about concerning data biases in AI?
Right. Data bias remains a very real concern, although, thankfully, massive efforts are underway to address it. The problem is, if the training data used to build the AI system is skewed, which historically has often been the case, with white male data often dominating medical research, then the predictions and suggestions for underrepresented groups, especially women and certain ethnic communities, can sometimes be skewed or less accurate.
Hmm.
We are thankfully seeing significant improvements being mandated and implemented, like the required fixes to address skin tone biases in pulse oximeter readings that came into effect around 2025. But the struggle continues to ensure true fairness and equity in these algorithms.
So it seems AI excels at analyzing known patterns, but really struggles where true intuition, creativity, and understanding human complexity are required.
Precisely. AI is an absolute master of identifying common patterns in vast data sets.
Hmm.
But it struggles intensely with true novelty, diagnosing the rare disease presentation, understanding the highly complex, unique combination of symptoms that often requires years of accumulated clinical experience and that stark of human intuition to connect seemingly disparate dots.
Yeah.
Moreover, there are profound ethical issues involved. Humans absolutely must maintain oversight for critical healthcare decisions, especially those involving significant treatment changes, potential harm, or even life and death scenarios, like denying treatment based purely on an AI-generated risk score. That cannot happen without human oversight.
Okay, so we're definitely moving toward a system that our sources are calling augmented medicine, more like a super team approach, a collaboration. How does that collaboration actually function in a typical medical practice in, say, 2026?
Well, the 2026 model really dictates a much clearer role shift between AI and human clinicians. The AI handles the massive, often repetitive, data-intensive tasks. Continuous routine monitoring of patient vitals, intelligent data aggregation, initial triage based on symptoms, and identifying subtle patterns in data that require deeper human investigation.
Okay.
This fundamentally frees up the doctor's time and cognitive load to focus almost solely on the most complex diagnostic puzzles, treatment planning, and, crucially, the human relationship aspects of care, the parts that genuinely require empathy, nuanced judgment, and shared decision-making.
Can you give us maybe some more advanced examples of this collaboration in action?
Certainly. Look at the evolution of powerful AI systems like IBM Watson Health, even as its focus shifted around 2025. These kinds of sophisticated AI platforms are increasingly used by specialists, like oncologists, for example, not to make the final treatment decision, absolutely not, but to rapidly analyze a specific patient's complex genomic data and instantly cross-reference it against millions of recent clinical trials and published literature,
Wow.
suggesting maybe a handful of the most personalized, evidence-based, up-to-date treatment options for the human oncologist to carefully review, consider, and discuss with the patient. Or think about the telehealth space. Apps like Teladoc or many of the newer remote patient monitoring services are increasingly using AI to perform the initial symptom assessment and preliminary data analysis before the user is connected to a human physician.
So the doctor is pre-briefed.
Exactly. This ensures that when the patient finally connects with the human doctor, that doctor is already thoroughly briefed on the case details, the relevant data trends, and can jump straight into effective interaction, diagnosis, and care planning, rather than spending the first 10 minutes just gathering basic information.
It sounds like the physician benefits just as much as the patient, maybe, by reducing burnout and administrative load.
Absolutely. Let's return to that hypothetical anecdote of Dr. Emily, a busy family physician. In this augmented medicine model, maybe she starts her day by quickly reviewing an AI-powered dashboard that summarizes key trends and alerts from her patient's wearable and biometric data before they even step into the clinic. This means the actual face-to-face appointment becomes instantly more valuable and focused. Instead of spending half the limited session time manually reviewing charts and entering data, she can focus 100% on the person sitting in front of her. Their emotional state, their challenges with adherence, their personal fears and goals. The AI enhances the quality of human care. It doesn't eliminate the need for it.
Let's look at the tangible benefits of this hybrid model then, especially in areas like chronic care management and mental wellness where ongoing support is crucial.
The shift we're seeing is genuinely from reactive treatment of disease after it occurs to proactive prevention and management, and the potential cost savings are huge. McKinsey data we reviewed suggested that overall U.S. healthcare costs could potentially drop by as much as 10% by 2026, driven almost entirely by these preventative interventions facilitated by early AI detection and personalized guidance.
And the motivation factor.
Right, the gamified elements, the personalized feedback loops. They also significantly improve patient adherence to treatment plans, which is notoriously difficult to achieve in traditional healthcare, especially for chronic conditions.
Let's talk specifically about the critical applications emerging in mental health. That seems like a huge area of growth.
It really is an area of rapid expansion and innovation.
Right.
You have apps like Calm, Headspace, and others now integrating AI to track very minute physiological shifts using metrics like heart rate variability or HRV. For any listener unfamiliar, HRV measures the tiny variations in time between your consecutive heartbeats. It's a very strong indicator of the health and flexibility of your autonomic nervous system. It essentially tells us how stressed versus how recovered your body is at any given moment.
That sounds like a really powerful objective metric for something as subjective as mental health.
It is surprisingly powerful.
Right.
By tracking your personal HRV trends over time, the AI can actually start to predict an impending anxiety spike or an acute stress episode before you might consciously feel overwhelmed.
Wow.
It can then proactively send you a suggestion, not just a generic notification like feeling stressed, but perhaps a specific evidence-based breathing exercise or a short mindfulness session, timed and customized to help interrupt that rising physiological stress response before it takes hold. User testimonials we've seen confirm this ability to preemptively manage stress can be genuinely transformative for some people.
And finally, for chronic conditions like diabetes, where constant vigilance is absolutely required.
There, the integration is potentially groundbreaking. In diabetes management, for instance, AI integrated directly into devices like Medtronic insulin pumps can analyze your current activity levels, your real-time glucose readings from a CGM, and even your anticipated food intake if you log it, to predict your insulin needs with far greater accuracy than manual calculations.
Reducing dangerous highs and lows.
Exactly. The aim is to significantly reduce severe hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia episodes, and the data suggests this could lead to overall hospitalizations related to poor glucose control, dropping by as much as 30% in some patient groups using these integrated systems.
That's incredible.
And one more quick example. For elderly care, a simple wearable equipped with fall detection algorithms can do more than just count steps. It can detect subtle changes in gait that might indicate increasing fall risk, or critically detect an actual fall and instantly alert family members or emergency services. This promotes independence while providing a crucial safety net.
Okay, this is the section where we get to really geek out a bit on the underlying technology that's driving this whole revolution. Let's break down the specific types of AI that are working together behind the scenes to make this hyper-personalization actually possible.
Right. It generally relies on three primary types of artificial intelligence working in concert. First, you have the foundational element, which is machine learning, ML. This is basically the AI learning patterns from vast amounts of structured data like correlating step counts with sleep duration, without needing explicit programming for every single rule.
Okay, ML is the base layer, and then there's the more complex layer on top of that, deep learning.
Exactly. Deep learning utilizes these complex, multi-layered structures called neural networks, which are loosely inspired by the human brain. This is absolutely crucial for interpreting unstructured raw sensory data, especially things like visual or audio inputs. This is the tech that allows an AI to, say, accurately scan an image of a skin mole and assess malignancy risk, or analyze the nuances in an X-ray with high diagnostic accuracy. Simple ML struggles with that kind of raw, complex data.
Got it. And finally, what's the piece that ties the human interaction back into the system, makes it conversational?
That would be natural language processing, NLP. NLP is absolutely essential for creating effective conversational AI interfaces. It's what allows the AI health coach to understand your context and intent, even when you don't speak in precise clinical terms.
Right.
So when you simply text your health app something like, I'm so tired today and my stomach hurts, any ideas? NLP is what interprets that unstructured natural language text, relates it back to your physiological data trends, and helps generate a coherent, helpful conversational response rather than just an error message.
The sensor technology itself is also constantly evolving at a crazy pace. What are we seeing on the roadmap for, say, 2026 and just beyond in terms of enhanced biometric tracking?
Oh, the advancements are incredibly rapid. We're moving far, far beyond just counting steps or basic heart rate. Devices are now integrating highly accurate gyroscopes and multi-axis accelerometers to measure things like balance and gait stability, which is critical for predicting and preventing falls, especially in older adults.
Okay.
We're also seeing bioimpedance sensors being incorporated more widely. These pass a tiny electrical current through the body to provide precise body composition analysis tracking changes in muscle mass versus fat content over time, which is more insightful than just weight alone.
And what about even more futuristic stuff like analyzing fluids?
Yeah, looking slightly further out, future models are actively incorporating microfluidic sensors designed for real-time sweat analysis. This could offer instant, highly accurate feedback on your hydration status, electrolyte balance, maybe even stress hormone levels continuously throughout the day or during a workout.
Wow. And let's talk briefly about the computational ceiling for all this complex analysis. Is there one?
Well, the sources we looked at definitely point to the enormous future promise of next-generation computing technologies to scale this even further. While it's certainly not mainstream by 2026, the potential of quantum computing is frequently mentioned as being huge for this field.
Quantum computing, how would that help?
The theoretical ability of quantum systems to process vast, incredibly complex data models simultaneously could potentially speed up these hyper-personalized health prediction algorithms by orders of magnitude, maybe even 100x or more. This could allow for near-instantaneous, incredibly complex health forecasting, perhaps even across entire populations for public health insights. Still theoretical, but the potential is there.
Okay, looking ahead from 2026 then, what are the next major frontiers that are expected to deepen this personalization even further?
I think the next truly monumental push we're seeing is full genomics integration. This involves moving beyond just correlating your current behavior and environment with health outcomes. It means combining your inherent genetic blueprint, your actual DNA data, obtained maybe from a genetic test, with the real-time behavioral and physiological data streaming from your wearable.
So nature and nurture analyzed together.
Precisely. The AI could then generate ultra-personal, truly holistic health plans that account for the specific genetic risks you were born with, not just the lifestyle risks you've acquired over time. That's the next level of personalization.
That starts moving us into territory that sounds genuinely futuristic, almost like integrating directly with the nervous system itself.
Indeed. We're closely tracking advancements in brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, like the kind of technology being explored and developed by companies like Neuralink.
Right.
While still highly experimental and facing many hurdles,
Right.
the long-term goal is potentially to integrate AI with direct neural signals for incredibly advanced mental health predictions and perhaps even interventions for neurological disorders, far beyond what simple HRV tracking can currently achieve. Think potential new avenues for treating severe depression, chronic pain, or managing conditions like epilepsy. Still a ways off, but it's on the horizon. And maybe just as importantly, on a global scale, the impact of making affordable AI health solutions widely available is crucial. By scaling down the hardware requirements and focusing the machine learning models on specific regional challenges, affordable AI has the potential to help tackle large-scale epidemics, track malnutrition trends, and improve healthcare access far more efficiently in developing countries.
Okay, that's the future. But for the listener right now who's intrigued and wants to start experimenting with this hyper-personalized approach today or maybe in the near future, what are the most practical tips for actually getting started?
All right, good question. Let's see, start by clearly identifying your primary health goal. Is it better sleep? Stress reduction? Improving fitness? Managing a condition? Be specific. Then choose your hardware, your wearable device, based specifically on that goal, and of course your budget.
Examples.
Sure. If you are maybe more budget conscious and focused mainly on tracking daily activity, basic sleep stages, and maybe general heart rate trends, a device like a Fitbit Versa or a comparable tracker from another brand might be perfectly sufficient to start with.
Okay.
However, if you really demand the most advanced physiological features, things like clinical-grade ECG for AFib detection, continuous SpO2 blood oxygen monitoring, detailed sleep cycle analysis, and sophisticated recovery metrics, then investing in a higher-end device like the Apple Watch Ultra, maybe an Oura Ring, or a top-tier Garmin watch is likely the better choice for your specific needs.
So once the device is chosen, the next critical step seems to be ensuring all the different data points are actually connected and talking to each other, right?
Integration is absolutely key. It's almost pointless otherwise. You really must make an effort to link all your relevant health apps, your sleep tracking app, your fitness logging app, maybe even certain nutrition or meditation apps you use, to a central secure platform. In the Apple ecosystem, that's HealthKit. On Android, it's typically Google Fit,
Why is that central hub so important?
because it ensures the AI engine, whether it's built into the device or a third-party app, receives a complete holistic view of your entire health ecosystem. That's what allows it to draw accurate correlations and make meaningful, personalized recommendations, rather than just analyzing data points in isolation.
Okay, and finally, let's talk about setting manageable expectations when you start out.
Yes, definitely. Don't try to optimize every single variable of your health simultaneously from day one. You'll just get overwhelmed. Start small. Focus on one clear goal, like, say, improving your average sleep quality score. Use the AI features specifically as a focus tool to provide suggestions related only to that metric for a while.
Just focus on sleep first.
Exactly. Review your weekly sleep reports. Genuinely try to follow the AI suggestions for maybe a month, see if it makes a difference. And most importantly, always remember that golden rule we discussed. Use this AI as an incredibly advanced personal health assistant, maybe a motivator, but not as a replacement for qualified human medical expertise and advice. And one final bonus question on practicality, just quickly. Is this technology generally considered suitable or safe for children to use as well? Yes, generally. There are specific child-friendly wearable devices available now, often with simpler interfaces and more basic tracking. So it's becoming an inclusive technology for all age groups, provided, of course, that parents utilize the appropriate parental control for safety, monitor the data being collected, and ensure the output is framed in an educational and positive way, rather than potentially inducing anxiety about numbers in kids. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow. We've covered a truly massive amount of ground today, really analyzing how incredibly close we are to a fully hyper-personalized health future driven by AI and wearables. To summarize, I think the key takeaway is that the health revolution predicted for 2026 means AI-powered wellness is no longer some niche tool for biohackers. It's rapidly becoming an accessible 204/7 proactive partner in health for potentially everyone.
And it's a partnership that fundamentally shifts our collective approach away from just reacting to illness after it happens, towards early detection, proactive prevention, and continuous optimization of well-being.
Right. And this partnership delivers tremendous tangible value through sheer convenience, data-driven motivation, often using gamification, and that powerful ability we discussed to detect issues like overtraining, nutritional deficiencies, or even stress patterns long before they manifest as full-blown physical crises.
And along the way today, we also successfully debunked some core myths. AI, while powerful, is certainly not infallible. Its high accuracy for common risks needs to be balanced with the critical understanding that it remains a tool, one that requires human verification and oversight, especially for complex or serious medical cases.
Hmm. And importantly, it's also no longer just for the super tech-savvy among us, right? User-friendly interfaces are rapidly becoming the standard, and thankfully, accessible hardware options exist at various price points to fit almost every budget.
Absolutely. We've pretty much established that by 2026, using some form of AI to help manage and proactively guide your baseline health will likely be as common and unremarkable for many people as checking your email is today.
Okay, but here is the final, maybe provocative thought we want to leave you, the listener, with today. We're gaining access to this constant, incredibly detailed, hyper-personalized stream of data about our sleep, our stress, our movement, our food responses, our very physiology moment by moment. The biggest question, perhaps, is no longer can AI make us healthier, but rather, how will managing this continuous, intimate flow of self-knowledge fundamentally change our relationship with our own bodies? Will it enhance our intuition or potentially challenge our reliance on it? That's something profound, I think, to ponder as you maybe start experimenting with your own data streams.
That really is something to think about.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for this deep dive. If you enjoyed this conversation and found real value in having all this complex information distilled down for you into actionable insights,
Then please do subscribe and join our community. We'd love to have you.
we definitely would.
We'll see you on the next deep dive, where we'll continue to extract the essential knowledge you need to stay well informed.